Oh, my queen, my queen. Oh, she. Oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel. So strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall. A champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. Where would we be without you?
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Hello. This is R.C. Blakes, and I am thoroughly excited about my time with you once again. Welcome to Let's Talk with R.C. Blakes. If this is your first time, hey, I'm just a man. I'm a pastor. I'm a husband. I'm a father. And I've lived a little bit of life, and so I like to share some of the things that I've learned on my journey. I like to say I'm a student and kind of teach what I learn. Please invite others to come in, share this, make certain that you like this, that we might get this message to as many people as might be possible. And with the kind of community we have, that's, we're capable of getting this message to millions. We really, really are. I like to call this the International Gathering of Queens. Now, I have something I want to deal with, and it stems from a question that I'm quite often posed with. Why is it so difficult for a woman or for women to get a man to commit? Why are women not getting the kind of long-term results in relationships that they deserve, that they desire? What's the problem? And so I did just a little looking. One of these days I'll be great at just really pulling numbers together. But according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau in 2020, the percentage of adults aged 18 and over who were currently at that time married in the United States was 49.1%. And this represents a decrease from 50.5% in 2010. And watch this, in 2000, it was 57%. So we're falling off dramatically as it relates to our long-term relational results. And I have something that I want to raise today, not to trigger you, but to just make you aware. Because I've come to discover that most women are unaware that they have been taught and are employing short-term mating strategies. Women are employing short-term strategies with sincere expectation that it's going to lead to long-term results. Because every woman she's either employing short-term or long-term mating strategies. And I know a lot of you say, well, I've never even heard of such a thing. Well, there is such a thing. Long-term strategies are things like abstinence, establishing and enforcing boundaries, moving on from pointless relationships when guys are proving not to be serious, not to be committed. A woman with long-term strategy, she moves on from that guy sooner than later. A woman with a long-term strategy only engages in a relationship where there's a vision for the future. So like not long into their connection and, you know, liking one another and having the conversations about how they feel about one another. Not long into that, the woman that has a long-term strategy is asking the question, what are your intentions? Now, all of the things that I just mentioned relative to women who have long-term mating strategies is viewed in this day and time as old fogey, outdated, non-effective. Don't come here with that R.C. Blake stuff, that old time, that old man, he ain't nothing but an old preacher trying to shove the Bible down everybody's throat. Let me just clear the air. You are grown and you may do whatever you desire to do with your life. I am never here trying to, twist your arm into accepting what I'm sharing with you. I just want to make certain that a voice that there's a male voice in your world that opposes the stuff that you're constantly being sold. Now, it's up to you to accept it, to agree with it, to value it or not, but you're grown. I mean, I have 4 grown children and I can't make any of them do anything. They have made choices in some cases that I don't necessarily agree with, yet I love them. I share my wisdom with them, but they're grown people. They have a right to do whatever they want to do, and they also have the right to reap the consequences and the repercussions of their choices. And so I don't want you to ever to think that I'm here, trying to cyberbully you. I'm just trying to make certain that I say the things to you as women from a man's perspective. Some women say, "Oh, you a man, you can't teach a woman nothing." I can't teach you nothing about being a woman, but I can certainly teach you about how men think. I can certainly teach you how to behave yourself, in the company of men. Yeah, I can. Just like a woman can sit me down and teach me exactly what I need to know about women. Who better to teach a man about women than a woman? Ideally, a man's mother should have taught him what he needs to know about women. Ideally, a woman's father should have taught her what she needs to know about men. So I just want to clear the air because I don't want anybody to assume that I'm out here, trying to make you do anything. I can't. You have to make your own choices. But this thing back to short-term, long-term strategies, mating strategies is real. And the world has made women believe that adopting short-term mating strategies is the way to get long-term outcomes. But listen to what the Bible says in Proverbs 18:22. It says, "Whoso findeth a" what? "Wife, findeth a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord." Now, what you have here is a clear reference to masculine, feminine energy. A woman should ideally and predominantly carry feminine energy. A man should ideally and predominantly carry masculine energy. And masculine energy does the pursuing, the finding. Feminine energy does the approving. Now, I'm going to lay this short-term mating strategy thing out for you in some clearer terms in a minute. But when you look at it, what you'll realize is that the world sells the woman on the idea that she can employ short-term mating strategies and end up with a marriage or a husband. And here's the reality. Any man that would be a husband is not going to be attracted to a woman that's exercising short-term mating strategies, because short-term mating strategies pretty much loses itself in pursuing a man. It calls for a woman to shoot her shot. And any man that would have the depth of character to actually be a husband and commit to a woman long term is not checking for a woman that's out here shooting her shot or pursuing or chasing a man. Because the biggest issue with the woman's short-term strategy is that it makes the rhythm between a man and a woman confused and clumsy. The woman is out here doing what the man should be doing, and she's putting the man in a position where he's fulfilling her role. She's masculine, he's feminine. The woman is pursuing, while a man that would respond, she's searching for a husband, which really she's looking for a masculine man. And while she's exercising these short-term strategies, she's really in pursuit. She's in hunt mode. And the only man that would respond to that would be a feminine man. A man that's not a leader, a man that does not really want to lead, a man that's perfectly comfortable with the woman holding down the weight of the relationship, Short-term mating refers to a sexual or romantic relationship that is expected to last for a brief period of time, typically without the intention of establishing a long-term commitment or emotional attachment. Now, here's the problem. That's the definition of short-term mating strategy. That is the understanding that we as men have, because nobody employs short-term mating strategies as well as men do, right? We understand that when we enter into this, it's sexual, it's not going to last, it's going to probably be very brief. The problem is that while we understand that as men, many times the world has so lied to the woman, and the world has the woman locked into this mindset of employing these short-term strategies that she believes that if I do these things, it's going to lead to something long-term. Where did she learn that from? She learned that from a misogynistic, male-dominated culture that sets her up to extract her value without price. Now, this type of mating strategy, this short-term mating strategy, is often driven by physical attraction and immediate pleasure rather than long-term compatibility or emotional intimacy. Now, let me just give you an idea of some points relative to what, if I'm employing short-term mating strategies. Well, let me lay out some of what that looks like. Letter A. This woman is engaging in casual sex or even one-night stands, with this big, the sexually liberated woman. And hey, again, if that's you, do you. I am not here to tell you what to do, right? I want you to understand that. I'm just here sharing some perspective from a male who's lived a little bit of life, played all of the games, and all I'm doing is trying to help you to understand how you're being puppet mastered, by concepts that entrap you. Any woman that engages in casual sex, one-night stands, and you think that because you gave this man your body, this is going to lead to something long-term and significant, you are way off of your rocker. It's not going to happen. Letter B, seeking out partners solely based on physical attraction or appearance. That's a short-term strategy. It never fails. It never fails. Women want to push back on me when I say, and I try to make it as clear as possible. I'm not saying to you that you should go and try to attach your life to a man that you think is just horrible looking. There should be some attraction to the person that you would mate with, right? But if you're a woman that's just given to how he looks, and you pay no attention to his character, his heart, his personality, his intellect, and all you're going on is he looks a certain way. So for the imaginary scale that everybody uses to rate, if you're looking for a man that's a 8 or 9 or 10, and the man you're dealing with is a 6 or a 7 or even a 5, you won't even give him a second look because he's not an 8 or 9 or 10. You have a short-term mating strategy. And chances are 99% of the time relationships have not gone well for you because you're holding on to this thing about, he got to look a certain way. He got to have a certain physical this and all of this kind of thing. And you're ignoring the most important aspects. You're like the person that buys a car without checking under the hood and to discover that you paid the full price. And all it is a shell. It's a beautiful shell that all you can do is park it on your driveway, wash and wax it once a week, and let your neighbors think you have an amazing vehicle that can carry you nowhere. That's what you're doing when you limit your exploration of a man to his external. Letter C, being less selective, short-term mating strategies, being less selective or discerning in choosing partners. This is when you get to a point where society has sold you this bill of goods that because of your age, because you've had a child or two by a different man or by different men, your value is not this or that. So you're going to have to just settle. You're going to have to just settle. And so now you're being less selective. You're not discerning, and you're choosing partners out of your desperation rather than your dignity. Short-term mating strategy. Chances are it's not going to work for you. Letter D, focusing on immediate pleasure rather than emotional intimacy or long-term compatibility. Now, again, the world promotes short-term strategies to women as though this is the route to long-term commitment, but it's a lie. The world makes you believe, have sex, be sexy, come out naked, wear see-through clothes, don't have no underwear on, have your clothes so sheer that we can see the inscription that you got written on your other part, your parts back there, and let everybody see everything. Let all your breasts swing out, and just that's the way you get a husband. That you got to show up, babe. You got to show out when you show up, babe. That's the way to be out here, wasting up all your greatest years hitting everything but a husband. Because a man that's a husband that has long-term character, when he sees you naked in the street, he don't trust you. He ain't gonna bring you home. He's not gonna bring you home to mama. No. Only man you gonna attract with that is a man that wants to roll you around in the hotel bed, may get into your life, create a soul tie so he can keep your mind tied up for a long time, use you up for all of your youth with no commitment. Now you're sitting there, you're 50, 60 years old, gave all your life to men that never had long-term character because you always employed short-term strategies. Now let's see. Where a relationship starts pretty much indicates how it may end. So if you start on the sexual, the superficial, it's going to only run as long as the situation stays sexy, as long as the superficial stays attractive. So anything on the outside, the looks, the sex and all of that falls off as you get older. Now let's just be real about it. We don't get cute as we get older. We get more distinguished, right? So if you're basing your connection with a person on, keeping that same little frame, that same beautiful black hair, as a brother, you got to have that jet black beard, and it didn't come from the drugstore. If that's what you basing your relationship on, it ain't gonna last. If it's based on things like friendship, shared values, character, mutual vision, now you have things that the relationship is based in that can go the distance. The problem is when we have raised up a generation of women that are employing short-term strategies. Short-term strategies are not capable of going deep enough to even discover if a man has that capacity within him. You're only fishing on the surface. Where you're fishing with your short-term strategies, you will catch minnows and little fish, but you will never catch, sharks or whales or tarpon, because you're not deep enough. A woman with a short-term strategy lacks the depth, but nobody's taught her that. And so what you find is you find yourself attracting everything but what you deserve, because a lot of times the world wants to define a woman based on the relational mistakes she's making. But the reality is many times that's an unconscious queen. And I have grace for women because I know that we as men are the ones that trained women to think the way they think. And then we double back and we say, oh, because you behave like this, your value is less. And you're this and you're this, you're blankety blank and you're blankety blank. And all of that is what? Mind control. All of that is to break the woman's self-esteem down, self-perspective down, so that she will deliver value without price. Now, let's get into this. Main point number one. The reason your short-term strategy does not work well for long-term outcomes is because, number one, any relationship that is developed out of a short-term mating strategy most of the time lacks long-term compatibility. Short-term mating strategies often prioritize, again, physical attraction and immediate pleasure over long-term compatibility and shared values. So as a result, couples who engage in short-term mating may not have the necessary qualities for a successful long-term partnership, such as shared goals, mutual respect, and emotional intimacy. You cannot find out, you'll never learn about a man's emotional intelligence by jumping in the bed with him. It ain't gonna happen. Now, the biggest problem, again, with the sexually liberal or liberated woman is she often goes to the man's bed long before she has explored his head. So she knows what's in his pants before she knows what's on his mind. Where do you think you're going to discover any long-term compatibility as long as you keep the level of the relationship on the sexual? And see, another lie that women have been made to believe is that because a man is sexually gratified by you, because a man is sexually attracted to you, that he actually loves you, or he's interested in you, or there's the potential for a long-term relationship. There may be the potential for a long-term sexual relationship, but sex is no indication that a man views you as wife, or that a man loves you enough to be mutually or to be exclusive with you. You can't learn these things until you slow your roll and adopt some of the long-term mating strategy of setting boundaries, exploring the soul of a man, being willing to let a man walk if need be without any hesitation. This is how you become attractive to husband material, not by being loose and not by being easy and not by just being overtly sexual. That's not attracting husband material. So when you do these things, you establish a bad foundation where you never really connect and you never discover if there's any long-term compatibility, because sex is no indication. Amos 3:3 says, do two walk together unless they be agreed? And how do we know we agree? We have to explore one another's souls. We have to have some conversation, some dialogue. I got to know what you desire. I got to know who you are. I got to know where you want to go. But if the woman is jumping straight to the sexual and the sexy and all of this kind of thing, she's moving too fast. She's too far ahead of where she should be to really get the necessary information to know if this is even viable or not. By the time she figures it out, here we got another soul tie. It's after she's given the man her virtue and her feminine soul has been corrupted and broken again that the woman realizes they had no compatibility beyond the sexual. What's one of the things I frequently challenge women on? How is it that women can say to me, the man I'm with, nothing but a narcissist. He's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. He's a this, he's a that, he's a that. And this is like 10 years into the relationship, 2 or 3 babies, outside of, no marriage, 2 or 3 babies. He's never been faithful to you. And now all of a sudden, after 3 babies, that now he's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. He's a narcissist. Why didn't you know that before you got your life tied up with this individual? Short-term mating strategies blind you. Short-term mating strategies will turn your intelligence off. Short-term mating strategies turns down the volume of your discernment. And it's after you've gotten into this thing and you've been broken that finally, voila, the light bulb goes off. This guy lacks the fundamentals, the internal fundamentals that would make he and I compatible long term. Now, according to Dr. Seth Meyers, he says short-term mating tends to appeal to people who are not looking for long-term commitment or who are looking for quick gratification. He also notes that long-term compatibility requires shared values, mutual respect, and emotional intimacy, none of which are central to short-term mating strategies. Now, let me give you this. Why short-term mating fails at compatibility. You're doing this stuff, but you're not attracting people that are really going to be long-term compatible. Letter A, the signal you're sending as a woman will only reach the level of lust. When all you're doing is you out here showing this and showing that and talking this and talking that and, sexually free and liberated and do you. I'm a feminist and I can do with my body what I want to do with my body. And so I choose to give my, hey, again, I ain't nobody's daddy. Hey, I'm just saying that approach is not going to reach beyond the level of a man's lust. And once, if a man sees you as as an available sexual object, before you've allowed that man to discern you as a wife, chances are slim to none he's going to be able to reverse that. If you start off with a man just viewing you sexually, chances are you'll never be able to get him to really view you as long-term wife material. Letter B, it does not put a demand on a man's character. When you're exercising short-term mating strategies as a woman, you move so fast that, the man has to prove nothing. You can only test a man's character over time. You have to have boundaries and you have to have limits and you have to have, non-negotiables to test a man's character. If anything goes, that process of mating and dating is never truly testing a man's character. And so you end up with everything but what you actually were hoping for deep in your heart. Letter C, it puts last things first and it puts first things last. You can't put the bed before the head. If you can't connect here, why are you in the bed? If you don't have a future together, if he doesn't respect you, if you don't have a mutual understanding of where you can go together, why are you, letter D, it does not require any intentions to be communicated. When a woman allows herself to exercise short-term mating strategies, no intentions are communicated. Usually women that exercise short-term mating strategies, it's way into the game when she's given everything she has, that now all of a sudden she wants to know, well, what are your intentions? Well, you should have known that in the beginning, But the world says to you, this is cool. This is what being an empowered woman is. Just go out here and do it like this here. And once you get out there and you discover that strategy really doesn't agree with, the sensibilities of your feminine soul, now you're heartbroken, Now, main point number 2, why is this short-term thing not producing long-term outcomes for women? There's always a commitment malfunction. Whenever a woman employs short-term mating strategies, there is always a commitment malfunction. Dr. Tai Tashiro says people who are more anxious about relationships are more likely to engage in short-term mating. He also suggests that when people engage in short-term mating, they are not really addressing their commitment issues. And so when you as a woman employ short-term mating strategies, the reason there's a commitment malfunction is because in most cases, women subscribe to that approach to dating and mating because you really believe that this is how you can get a long-term outcome. It's a malfunction because when a woman employs short-term mating strategies, she only attracts men who can't commit. And so what she's searching for, way back in the recesses of her soul, are never going to really be produced by her approach. And at the same time, it's like she's offering herself up to a degenerated, perverted, misogynistic culture of men who are playing her lack of knowledge like a fiddle. And so there's this commitment malfunction. She's thinking that it's going to lead to commitment, but it never does because it's based on a foundation that is faulty. it's a false kind of love. If you look in John 3 and 18, it's 1 John 3:18, it says, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. With actions and in truth, meaning what? Let me observe you. Let me pay attention to what you've said, measure it next to what you actually do. You know, the words and the speech, all that's cool. That's superficial stuff. But I am not going to stop there. I gotta see what you do, and I gotta measure what you said. I gotta see how true you are. That is the difference between short-term perspective, long-term perspective. A short-term, letter A short-term mating tactic always fails a woman because the woman usually doesn't believe that she even deserves commitment and therefore is afraid to demand it. There's a commitment malfunction. The reason you're engaging this short-term strategy is because there's a part of you that's broken that does not recognize or realize your true value. And so because you don't recognize your true value, you don't even have the courage to demand trust. And your broken consciousness tries to evade, elude, avoid any semblance of rejection. So rather than demand what you do, what you deserve, communicate what you desire, and a man walk away from you, you just stick with the status quo. Because there's a commitment malfunction whenever a woman employs short-term mating strategy. Letter B, short-term dating or mating tactics also fails the woman because it fishes in a pool of men that have no desire for commitment. It's like me going to the Mississippi River, which is the closest river to me, and casting my hook and trying to figure out why I can't pull no sharks out of here. Ain't no sharks in there. You got to get up and take a whole different journey, go to a whole different place, go to an entirely different depth, bring entirely different equipment to catch a shark. You can't catch a husband with short-term nightclub strategies. Number 3, I only have 5. Why is your short-term mating strategy not producing long-term results? Short-term mating gives you the highest probability for infidelity. Any man you catch with a short-term strategy, 99.9% of the time, is not just going to be sleeping with you. Now, I know you thought that you can sex a man into fidelity. Not so. Not so. Not so. There's no such thing as sex being so great that a man is going to just miraculously, come out of his wild ways and commit just to you. No, if a man is not grown up in his own mind and in his own heart, and if he's not evolved and matured on his own, there's nothing you can do sexually that's going to convince that man not to creep around and go here and go there. And this is the kind of man you usually attract when you are a woman that separates yourself from the long-term strategies and you adopt the short-term strategies that the world pushes on you. Short-term mating strategies can often involve multiple partners or lack of commitment, which can increase the risk of infidelity. Infidelity can undermine trust and intimacy in a relationship, making it difficult for partners to build a lasting bond. This is why, let's say a lot of the women I won't say most, so you don't need to email me. A lot of women they have to put trackers on their men. They have to go through their phones. They're going through their pockets. They're sniffing their clothes. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Why? Because those so-called relationships were developed on the basis of short-term strategy. And so there's a lack of trust in this man. Because why is there a lack of trust? She has not gone through the long-term process that she should have gone through to prove this man, to allow this man to show himself faithful, to allow this man to show himself as committed. So she just got the optics, come on now, without the content. And so now, because there's a high probability in this situation for infidelity, she lacks trust. Short-term mating is steeped in overt sexuality and lust. This is why the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 6:18, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. When you allow yourself, again, you got to make your own choices, no judgments here. But speaking from personal experience, when you allow yourself to get out of turn and to get off of the rails of morality, the rails of decency and order, sex confuses everything about your life. You can't really develop a healthy foundation for a long-lasting relationship when it's based in a woman who has employed short-term strategies. She only attracts men that have short-term agendas. Number 4, why is it not working? There are differences in expectations. You have one expectation. You thinking because the world taught you, and maybe your mama, maybe your grandma even. This is the day and time that we got grandmas out here on TikTok busting it wide open and dropping it like it's hot. This is ridiculous. Maybe your friends, there was a time that women could learn about womanhood from other women, but you've been taught by the women, and of course you've been taught by male, society, that the way to get it, babe, is to really give it up. And so you giving all of this away thinking that this is going to lead to that, only to discover that this is all it is. This is all it ever was. This is all it's ever going to be. Now your heart is broken. Now you're struggling within yourself not to drop your self-estimation of you, because you had different expectations that were not communicated. Couples who engage in short-term mating may not have the same expectations for the relationship. Most of the time, they don't. One partner may be looking for a casual fling, while the other may be hoping to develop a deeper emotional connection. The man is usually looking for a casual fling. The woman is usually hoping for a deeper emotional connection. And these differences in expectations can lead to misunderstandings and hurt feelings, ultimately preventing the relationship from progressing to a long-term commitment. Because women with short-term mating philosophies are misrepresenting their true heart's desire. Every healthy woman wants a meaningful, significant relationship. No healthy woman wants to just say, okay, I'm gonna go out here and just give my body to any man, and then just, I just want to see if I can just increase my body count as much as I possibly can. I mean, that's the mindset of a childish little, boy. That's not the mindset of a woman. A woman really wants a significant relationship that will go the distance. She wants to go from being a young, how did they put it, young maiden, to being a young wife, or being from maiden to wife to mother to matriarch. See, that's the ideal route for a woman. That's the natural progression. Go from a young single woman to a wife, or from a single woman to wife, to a mother, to a matriarch. That's the ideal route for a woman. That is the expectation of a woman's heart. And she wonders, why can't I get there? And nobody's ever told her, you got to go back and check out your mating strategy. It is not conducive for the long-term outcome. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:12, hope deferred makes the heart sick. So rather than employing the long-term strategy of clarity and communication of expectations, most women relax all boundaries, give others what they want in the moment with no guarantee that she will ever get her uncommunicated expectations. Now, let me give you number 5, and I'm out of here. Number 5, why is your short-term mating strategy not working out in terms of producing long-term results? Why can't you get a commitment? Your strategy will always produce a lack of trust. Short-term mating can often involve a lack of trust between partners, as neither may be sure of the other's intentions or level of commitment. And this lack of trust can create tension and insecurity in the relationship, ultimately leading to its demise. Well, you got to think about it like this. And this is just the psychology of most men, okay? Or let me say a lot of men. I don't want to sound like I'm speaking for everybody. If a man can get you into a sexual position too easily, he's probably never going to really trust you, because he's going to always feel like, if I got you in the bed, within the first 48 hours, another man can get you in the bed within the first 48 hours. He does not trust you. He will probably never trust you, because men only trust women who hold themselves to a certain standard and demand certain things of men. The short-term mating strategy does not call for you to do that. It calls for you to relax.
I'm in the quiet of the night. I sense the weight of worries taking flight. But darling, listen close and hear my plea. In this melody I ask, darling, don't you wait for me. In the shadows where fears reside, I find solace in the love you provide. With every step you ease my pain. In your embrace I find shelter from the rain. Darling, don't cry, don't shed a tear, for I'll be your fortress, I'll always be near. Though storms may rage and oceans may roar, I'll stand by your side.
All of your boundaries, all of your values. Give the man what he wants in the moment, and hoping that it will lead to what you want ultimately. So he can't trust you. So even if he grows up, he probably won't choose you, because you came too easily. You came without price. Dr. Timothy Loving says, when people engage in short-term mating, they are not really building the trust and intimacy that are essential to long-term relationships. The Bible says in Romans 12:9-10, let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil, cling to what is good, be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love and honor, giving preference to one another. In other words, be clear. In Proverbs 10:9, it says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. In other words, when you're true to yourself as a woman, and you true to your values, and you honor yourself, and you say, hey, I'm taking the long-term mating route, I'm going to make certain that, my personal fulfillment is established in me and in what God has put me in the earth to do. I'm going to find my happy within myself. I'm going to maintain my self-respect, and I'm going to demand that the world around me respects me. And if there's a husband out there for me, he will find me and I will approve of him when I recognize him. You take that route. That's the route of integrity. What is integrity? It is the integration of your values, and your ethics coming out in your behavior. That's what integrity is. It's being congruent, spirit, soul, and body. What's in your spirit is informing your soul, and it is being modeled in your behavior. And so a queen conscious woman is not taking the short-term route. She's going the long-term route. I hope this made sense to you. Father, I thank you today for every person that's under the sound of my voice, God. Give us wisdom, give us clarity, give us direction, give us instruction, give us peace, give us vision, give us hope. In Jesus' name, amen. Now listen, don't forget to go by my website, rcblakes.com, sign up for my mailing list. And, every week we try to send to the mailing list a notification of, what's coming up to keep everybody in tune. So if you're not on the mailing list, get on the mailing list. And while you're there, check out the online programs and see if there's one or two that might minister to you. Also, don't forget to go by Amazon, pick up any or all of my books, even my latest book, Me, My Mind is There. It's there presently. Go by Amazon and check that out. Thank you to all of you who have sown into our lives. We appreciate you. You don't have to be so kind, but you always are. Lisa and I love you so much. Don't forget, if you need counseling, there's a link in the description for BetterHelp Counseling. And if you engage that link and discover that this is something that may help you, what will happen is using the link will afford you 10% off of the cost of their counseling. And they, in turn, because we recommended them to you, will make a deposit into RSC Blake's Ministries if it works for you. Now, y'all pray for me. My wife is off to South Africa with our youngest daughter for her birthday. Lisa's birthday is March the 8th. And she and the youngest daughter are off to South Africa. So I'm left here by myself. Now I got to practice what I preach. I got to stand in my individuality, right? But just be praying for my wife and just know that we love you. We thank God for you. You're on top. You're going higher. God has more in store for you. So we will see you at the top. God bless you. Until next time. Hey, don't forget to like this before you get out of here. Y'all not giving me my likes. See you next time.
We here at RC Blake's Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by RC Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by RC. You may find all books written by RC and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at RC Blake's Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.